This story is for listening, for reflecting, and for understanding the journey of life. Now, let me take you back many decades ago when I was a young woman. The place was a village called Evermere, tucked between silent hills and dark rivers. It was a place so beautiful that outsiders thought it was blessed. But for those who lived there, beauty came with shadows, with secrets no one dared to speak out loud. I was just 18 when I arrived in Evermere, newly married, with dreams shining in my eyes. My husband Samuel had promised me a home full of laughter, and I wanted so badly to believe him. The air in that village smelled of wild roses, yet every corner felt as though someone unseen was watching. The villagers were polite, but their eyes carried a heaviness, as if they were all hiding the same burden. On my very first night, an old woman leaned close to me in the market and whispered, "Do not go near the river after sundown." Her voice trembled, her hands shook, and she disappeared into the crowd before I could ask why. I laughed it off at first, thinking it was just superstition, but in my heart a strange unease took root. Life went on, but the warning never left me. I would wake up at midnight to the sound of rushing water, louder than it should have been, almost like a voice calling. Samuel dismissed my fears, saying, "It's just the river, Maria. You must learn to ignore it." Yet ignoring it became impossible when I saw what I saw one foggy evening. I had gone to fetch water from the well at the edge of town. As I walked, I noticed the air turning unusually cold, my breath visible even though it was summertime. Then I heard it, the river, whispering my name as clear as the voice of a friend. I froze, every hair on my body standing upright. I dropped my bucket and ran home, but even inside my little house I could still hear it, faint but persistent. For days I kept silent, too afraid to speak. But one night Samuel woke me, his face pale, his body trembling. "Maria," he whispered, "did you hear that? The river, it called me too." And in that moment I knew it was not just my imagination. Something in Evermere was alive, and it wanted us. From then on, the nights grew unbearable. Shadows lingered near the windows. We would hear footsteps on the wooden porch, yet when Samuel opened the door, no one was there. The villagers stopped meeting our eyes as if they already knew we had been chosen. But chosen for what? That was the dreadful mystery. One evening, desperate for answers, I returned to the market in search of the old woman who had warned me. When I finally found her, she refused to speak at first. Her lips quivered, her eyes filled with tears, but at last she whispered, "The river is cursed. Long ago a betrayal happened here, a betrayal so cruel that the land itself remembers. Every generation it chooses a family, and it will not rest until it takes someone." I cannot describe the fear that took hold of me then. My young heart wanted to believe we could escape, but the way she looked at me, it was as if my fate had already been sealed. The nights grew darker. Samuel and I would hold each other close, listening to the river calling, louder each time, demanding, hungry. And then one night everything changed forever. It was a night when the wind howled like wolves and the moon hid behind thick clouds. I woke up to the sound of the door creaking open. Samuel was gone from the bed. My heart raced as I grabbed a lantern and rushed outside. The light flickered in the stormy air, but I could see his footsteps leading toward the riverbank. "Samuel," I cried, my voice breaking. But he did not stop. It was as if he was sleepwalking, drawn by a force stronger than my love, stronger than life itself. I chased after him, my bare feet cut by the stones, my lungs burning. When I finally reached the river, I saw him standing at the edge, staring into the water as if in a trance. And then, oh, my dear listeners, my voice still trembles when I recall that moment. The river rose up, not like water, but like hands made of liquid shadows, reaching for him, pulling him closer. I screamed and ran to him, grabbing his arm, fighting with all the strength my body could give. For a moment I thought I could save him. For a moment I believed love would win. But then the current surged, and Samuel's eyes met mine one last time. There was no fear in them, only surrender. He whispered, "Forgive me," and the river swallowed him whole. That night I fell to my knees, screaming into the darkness. The villagers stayed in their homes. No one came to help. No one dared. And I was left alone with the curse. But the story does not end there. What happened after Samuel's disappearance? That, my dear listeners, is a truth even darker. And it is a part of my story I have never shared. I will tell you, but only if you have the courage to listen. So you are still here, my dear listeners. That tells me something about you. You are not afraid of shadows. You want to know what happened after that cursed night at the river. Very well. I will open the doors of memory, though it pains me. When Samuel was taken, I thought my life had ended. For days I did not eat, did not sleep, only sat by the window staring toward the riverbank. The villagers avoided me, whispering behind closed doors. Some pitied me, some feared me, but none dared to comfort me. I was alone, completely alone. Then one evening, just as the sun bled into the horizon, there came a knock at my door. Slowly I opened it, and there she was, the old woman who had warned me before. Her eyes were heavy with sorrow. She stepped inside without a word, placed a small leather-bound book on my table and whispered, "You must know the truth now. The river will not stop with Samuel." My hands trembled as I opened the book. Inside were faded letters, written generations ago. The words told of a betrayal just as she had said. Long ago, a young woman from Evermere had been promised marriage by the village leader's son. But he broke his vow, marrying another, leaving her broken and shamed. Desperate and furious, she cast herself into the river, cursing the land and all who betrayed love. Her spirit merged with the waters, and from that day forward, the river demanded payment, a life, every generation from those it chose. My heart sank. It was not just Samuel. The curse would not stop. And now it wanted me. At night I would hear his voice calling, soft and gentle, as though he were standing just outside. "Maria, come to me. Maria, the water is not cold." His voice was tender, but I knew it was not him. It was the river, wearing his memory like a mask. Still, the longing in my chest was unbearable. I wanted so badly to believe that if I stepped into that water, I would see him again. Weeks turned into months. Every day was a battle. I avoided the river, but it found its way into my dreams. I would wake soaked in sweat, my sheets damp as though I had been swimming. Once I woke to find mud on my feet, though I had locked every door before sleeping. The curse was pulling me closer, and then came the night I almost gave in. The moon was bright, the air so still it felt unnatural. I rose from my bed without meaning to, as though invisible strings lifted me. My body moved toward the door, my bare feet against the cold floor. I reached the riverbank, and there he was, Samuel, standing in the water, smiling at me. "Come, Maria," he whispered. "There is nothing to fear." Tears streamed down my face. My heart screamed to run into his arms. But in that moment I remembered the old woman's words. "The river wears the face of what you love most." I clenched my fists, digging my nails into my palms until they bled, and I screamed into the night, "You will not have me." The figure vanished. The water rippled, hissing like a beast denied its prey, and I fell to the ground, shaking with both terror and relief. The next morning, the old woman returned. She placed her frail hand on my shoulder and said, "You are strong, but strength alone is not enough. You must leave Evermere. If you stay, the river will never stop calling." So I left. I walked away from that cursed village with nothing but a small bag of clothes and the memory of my husband's last words. I never went back. And though years passed, though my hair turned silver and my face gathered lines, the river has never truly released me. Sometimes, even here in Willowbrook, miles away, I hear it when the wind is heavy with rain. A faint whisper, calling my name. My dear listeners, I share this story not only as a memory but as a warning. Love can be powerful, but grief can open doors to places you should never enter. If you ever find yourself drawn by a voice in the dark, ask yourself, does it belong to the one you lost? Or is it something else, something ancient and hungry? I am an old woman now. My days are fewer than the ones behind me. But one truth remains. The river still waits. Perhaps it waits for me, perhaps for another. But it waits. So when you next walk near water at night, listen closely. If you hear a whisper, if you feel the pull, remember my story. Remember Maria of Evermere, and do not step forward. Because once the river takes you, it never lets you go.